welcome to week 2 of Filofax Friday, and today we're going to be talking about, or I am going to be talking about, goals and goal setting. So before I get into the nitty gritty, there's a couple of things I want to say first. The very first one being is a thank you to everyone who's commented on the first one, the introduction and the giveaway. I just wanted you to know that I have read every single one of your responses. I haven't replied to any because there's been like 50 odd and this week suddenly went a bit nuts, but I have read every single one of them, and some of the responses have been things that I already thought about doing in this series, and it's kind of helped me to focus a bit more on kind of what to cover. So I just wanted to thank you to everybody who has entered. That's really great, and the giveaway is open until the 17th, so yeah, so if you haven't entered, you've still got time. So that was the first thing I wanted to say. Second thing I wanted to say is about what I'm going to talk about today, the goals. I just wanted to say that this is, as I said before, a lot of what I'm going to say today is stuff that I used to do in a corporate setting. So I'm going to try and tailor it to home and personal as well. And there's a lot I want to say, and I just hope that I can articulate it in a way that makes sense. Because it is a subject I'm quite passionate about, and sometimes when you're passionate about something, you can go a bit like, and it not really makes sense to people. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case. And I also wanted to say that these are my opinions as well. So what I'm saying isn't how it always should be. So a lot of this is my opinion. So I wanted to kind of take that on board when you're trying to do your own goal settings, and take what I'm going to say and apply it to yourself and your own situation. Yeah, and that I'm open to hearing back from you guys as well. Everyone has a different opinion. You might totally disagree with what I'm saying, or you might agree with what I'm saying. And also in the comment section, you know, feel free to chip in with your comments. But what I ask is that you're respectful in your comments, because other people will have opinions as well, and I don't want to encourage negativity and people bitching at each other. I'd like to keep it all respectful, and yes, so that's just kind of what I say before I crack on. And as you know, I can waffle, so I've probably spent like 5 minutes just talking about that. So without further ado, let's crack on. Okay, so goals. I don't set New Year's resolutions at all. No New Year's resolutions, because to me, a New Year's resolution means something that notoriously can be broken. So therefore, if it's broken, you're going to feel bad about it, you're going to beat yourself up about it, and you set it in the new year. So if you've broken it in January, you've then got a whole another year before you can set one again. So no, I'm not going there. Goals are things to work towards, and they can be broken down into various different levels, which is what I personally do. I have daily goals, and I often, you know, it's interlinked with a to-do list. Daily goals, they're interchangeable, and some of what I say now might not feel complete until I've done next week's on time management. So time management is next week, and goals and time management are very often linked, because, well, for me anyway, because I set daily goals, but some people might call those a to-do list, and I have a to-do list as well. Which probably sounds crazy, but that will probably make more sense in next week's video in time management. So you've got daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, yearly goals, and lifetime goals. yeah, that's quite mammoth. That sounds like a lot of goals. So let's break those down a bit more. Let's not talk about daily goals for now. Let's talk about daily goals next week in time management and setting your to-do list and everything. So park daily goals. Let's talk about life goals. Life goals I see as kind of like a bucket list. Like one day I personally would love to go to an elephant sanctuary and scrub and clean old elephants. I'd also like to go to Norway and see the Northern Lights, and I have all these things in my life plan. And on another week I will talk about the life plan. And it's something that my husband and I have set together as well as individual. We have a life plan, and we've broken that down a bit more into sort of 5 years, 10 years, forever kind of thing. And some of the life goals may seem unrealistic or a long way off, but it doesn't hurt to kind of have something set that you can aspire to. And that's another thing that I want to draw into a goals is aspirations, because they are slightly different. Goals I see more in terms of something that you're physically going to achieve and you're going to achieve, or you're going to do your damnedest to achieve. And then you've got aspirations, things that you aspire to achieve. Like, for example, going to Norway and seeing the Northern Lights is a goal, and we've got stuff in place. We're saving at the moment, and we've bought Lonely Planet guides, and we're doing our research. So that is a goal. We are working towards that goal. An aspiration of mine is going to somewhere and scrubbing old elephants. Something I aspire to do, but I'm not gonna lie on my deathbed necessarily and be like, damn it, I didn't do that. That's something that I aspire to. Then we've also got monthly, quarterly and yearly goals. Now these are more of your kind of long-term to-do list, or things that you're kind of working towards a lot more. So I said I probably struggle to articulate it, and it is really hard when you know what you want to say and you feel passionate about something. So that's kind of the goal setting. And things like your monthly goal could be, this month I want to lose £5 in weight, or I want to make sure that I've sorted out my taxes and my accounts this month, ready to file my tax return. I've got to do that. And your yearly goals, that is stuff that you want to accomplish. You want to buy new furniture for the house. So how are you going to do that? Which is what we want to do. So we want to buy a new coffee table and TV unit for this house, because we didn't have one in our old house. So how are we going to do that? And also, like, for my business, where do I see my business in a year's time, and how am I going to work towards that? So yeah, that's broken down to the types of goals. So why set goals? Why? Why do you want to set goals? And for different people, could be different reasons. For myself, I set goals because I am the type of person that if I don't have it all organised, if I don't have goals, I will bumble along. I could quite easily spend an entire day on the computer looking at Pinterest or reading a book. I could spend, which is fine, which is really enjoyable, but then I don't get anything done. And because I don't get anything done, I don't always have a sense of achievement. And for me, this is me personally, I like to check things off, because for me, it's like getting a gold star or a tick for your sums. For me, checking something off is a really big sense of achievement, and it makes me feel like I've got some worth and some purpose, and I feel like I've done something with my life, with my day, and it I feel like I'm going somewhere, because otherwise I could just bumble. I could just quite happily bumble along and get to the end of the day, week, year, and be like, oh, what have I done? And, you know. But I'm also kind of like the personality type that I like to keep motivated as well. I like to keep busy, and by setting myself goals, I can keep doing that. And also, on quiet times, I can go back and revisit my goals and be like, got nothing to do today, and I can look at my goals. What can I do to kind of work on that and to give myself something to do and that. So that's the reason for me why I set goals. And yeah, I love nothing more than ticking it off. That just makes me so happy. And I think there's nothing more important than self-happy, because if you ain't happy, then you can't make other people happy, you can't necessarily feel fulfilled in your life, you can't fulfill your job, you can't look after your home, look after your children, your loved ones. And yeah, so if you're not happy, then I find it very hard to accomplish everything else in my life, and making me happy is staying on track. And that'll be different for you. That will be different for you. The reasons why you want to set your goals. And I will put at the end of this video some homework for you, because this whole series is, you know, going to take over weeks. You know, I've got quite a few weeks, and some, you know, goals are something we, you know, go back and revisit and look at again. And so I'm gonna set some homework, and we'll revise that homework as well as the weeks go by. So let's talk about your goal setting, because I know about me, and as I said, my sense of achievement and my sense of worth. But let's talk about your goal setting. So why do you want to set goals, and how are you going to, you know, keep a track of your goals? In the corporate world, if you've ever had an appraisal or a review at work, you may have come across, basically in appraisal terms, they're called objectives. But objectives are the same as goals. It's just a different terminology and a way of... what's the word? It's a word! Goals are just a different way of saying objectives, or a different way of saying to-do list, or a different way of saying resolutions. Okay. So in the corporate world, you may have heard them as SMART objectives or SMART goals. And whilst they are very corporate-y, there is no reason why you can't take the principles of those and bring them through to your personal life, your home life, as well as your work. So let's talk about those for a minute and break down the SMART and word. I don't really know what that's called. No, not an anagram. Anyway, let's break that down and see what setting SMART goals really means. So S stands for specific, which means basically clearly defined and unambiguous. So make sure that you are clear what it is that you're setting a goal for. M stands for measurable. So how is it going to be measurable? Is it going to be measurable in as much as at the end of the day you've done it, you can tell that you've done it, So how are you going to measure that what you've set has been done? A stands for achievable, because if it's not necessarily achievable, then it's an aspiration, and that's slightly different. So A is for achievable, so the objective or the goal that you're setting for yourself is achievable or attainable, and it's not something that's, you know, really high in the sky, because if it's not achievable, that will make yourself feel worse, because you won't be able to tick it off, and you won't get that sense of achievement. You know, it just makes you feel bad about yourself, and then you kind of, yeah, bad. R stands for relevant or realistic, and I use the two because some places called it different. So yeah, make it realistic or make it relevant. If it's not relevant or realistic, then why are you doing it, you know? So just think about that. And the T stands for trackable. So how are you going to track that you're on target for your goal? For everybody that'd be different because it depends on the goal. So that's the problem. I can't necessarily give you too much more information than that because everybody has got a different set of goals. And everybody will have, you know, yes, they need to be relevant or realistic to your situation. Because if they're not relevant and realistic, then what's the point? And they need to be achievable for your own sense of achievement, etc. And they need to be trackable so that you can make sure that you're on track and that you're on target. And yeah, so, you know, whatever that is, just, you know, you need to think about that before, when you're setting the goal, in order to make sure that you stay on track. And that is fairly as simple as that. I appreciate that it's maybe a lot to kind of get your head around, but it's worth doing. Promise. Okay, so lastly, on setting your own goals, I want you to be able to incorporate goals into your everyday life. So I don't want you to make them too complicated on yourself, and there's nothing wrong with having a big goal, which is the bigger picture, and then breaking that down, you know, into little micro goals so that you can get that done and you can have a quick win, you can tick that off, and you realise that you're on your way, you're on track for completing your goals. And as I said earlier, I appreciate that some of this might not necessarily make sense to you until you've watched next week's video on time management. So what I suggest is I'm going to set you some homework now. It's not compulsory, obviously. No one is going to check in with you to make sure that you've done that homework. But I'm going to set you some homework, and I want you to do that if you can. You know, go away, look at that homework, and have that for next week's on time management, because we're going to cover some of the goal setting in the time management, and also some of it will make a lot more sense for you. I'm going to show you my goals in a bit and how I do my goals, but the homework for you that I'm going to set is this. So firstly, what I want you to do is I want you to think about what types of goals you want to set for yourself. Are you going to be working towards daily goals or weekly goals or yearly goals? You know, have a think. Have a look at what sort of goals you think you might like to do, and have a write it down. Write down the pros and cons of doing different types of goals. I want you to invest a little bit of time in yourself to work out in what way you think you're going to be able to work with goals and how you want to work with goals. So do you want to keep your life on track daily or weekly, or would you rather have a bigger picture? So that is item 1, is what type of goals you want to do. So go away and write that down, and maybe if you're a journaler like I am, maybe journal about those goals. So journal about why you want to keep daily goals or weekly goals. So number 2 I want you to think about is, how will you keep a track of your goals, and how often realistically are you going to check in with your goals? Think about that, write it down, try and make a promise to yourself. And this may be a little bit early because we'll talk about time management next week, but diarise when you're going to check in with yourself again, not just with Filofax Friday. Number 3, I want you to actually set yourself some goals. So go back to item 1, whether you wanted to set yourself a weekly or daily goal, etc. And I want you to go away and I want you to set some goals. And I want you to try and set 5 goals, which I think is attainable in 7 days. We've got a week till next Friday. So set yourself 5 goals, and that could be, you know, at least 5 goals. You could set more if you want to. So it could be 1 daily, 1 weekly, 1 yearly, 1 lifetime. you know, that kind of thing. Or it could be 3 daily and 1 yearly and 2, you know, you see what I mean. So go away and actually set yourself some goals and refer back to this video and look at the SMART again. So set yourself some specific goals, people. Set yourself a specific goal that you know that you're going to be able to attain, or it's achievable, it's realistic to your current life and where you are now, and that it's trackable. And I want you to make a note of when you're going to track in again. It sounds really complicated, but I'm giving you a lot of, you know, you're going to have to go away and do this, invest some time in yourself. And then we're going to come back and we're going to review it all again together. So that's the last bit of the homework, is actually do it. Go away and have your life, live your life and complete your goals. So yeah, that is your homework. Okay, so let's have a look at my goals now. As I said, I keep them in my Filofax, but there are some more personal aspects in there. So I've literally taken this week's and replicated it, and then taken out the personal things. So just bear that in mind. Move my file out of the way, bring in the sheets. So yeah, so they're loose, as you can see, and I've got a week on 2 pages there. Doesn't all quite fit in frame, so just showing you. I'm using the inserts that I've made. I've got one with a guinea pig on and one with a bunny, because obviously I have guinea pigs and bunnies. And before anyone says anything about I'm only doing this video because I want to sell my inserts, that is totally wrong. And the reason why it's totally wrong is because I'm giving these away for free. If you would like a copy of these, then I will put a link in the description below for you to download them. It's totally free, no strings attached. There will be exactly this that I'm using, one with a guinea pig and one with a bunny, A5 size, and for personal size users, I know not everyone has an A5, I'll pop one in there and I'll make that one a kitty cat. So yeah, so if you want to use this exact one, if you wanted any of my other inserts, then obviously you would have to buy those, but I want to try and help people get organised and get sorted. Basically, that's what I do it for, because I want to help and I enjoy doing it, not because I'm trying to sell stuff, because I just thought I'd want to get the elephant out of the room there, because I know that will crop up. So anyway, enough of that, let's crack on. So you can see what it looks like as an overview there. So I'll just bring that down for you. So on the left hand side, I have this diary section. Now I don't necessarily have that much going on in my life. I mean, it is, you know, it is busy sometimes, but not always. So I have this section down the side where I put kind of my, you know, meetings or appointments, and, you know, like the other day I met, went and had some coffee with my friend, so that goes in there. There's no rhyme or reason really to the highlighting, other than the fact I've only got 2 colour highlighters. That's it. I need to get some more highlighter colours, but I've only got 2 at the moment. So yeah, so they're kind of like my, you know, my meetings and that kind of, you know, appointments, etc. there. And then on the right hand side, I have a tick box section, and this is my daily goals. I said that I also use a to-do list, so this is sort of a to-do list, but it's also my daily goals. Now if we go back to my Filofax, I showed you this in one of my previous videos. Inside the Philo, I've got a personal and a home tab, and in here I have a to-do list, and this is kind of like ongoing things. For example, I want to look into getting an iPhone because I really want one, and then I also have, like, John has got a to-do list in here, you know, like he's got to do some bits around the house. So there are my to-do lists, and I kind of keep them separate. Then that's kind of like a ongoing whenever kind of thing that I'm not too worried about tracking too much. So that's in there. And I also often use post-its, and if you follow my channel, you'll see that I did a video tutorial on how to print your own post-its with like to-do list checklist sheets on and stuff. So yeah, check that video out. So yeah, so here I have my daily goals. For example, on Monday I needed to prep for my tax return, which incidentally I haven't done. So by me putting them on my diary sheet, if they're not ticked, I mean some of these I've done, I've just replicated this obviously, and that's why there's loads of gaps, because I've taken out any really personal stuff. And so if it's not ticked off on Tuesday, I can go back to Monday and see that that's not ticked off, and hopefully by the end of the week I'll have a whole thing full of ticks and I will feel nice and clean and good, and I feel like so happy that I've accomplished stuff. So yeah, so that's what I do. And I'll talk about this in the time management next week, how I go through and sort out what I'm going to do on what days, etc. So that will come next week. I just wanted to kind of show you how I lay it all out. And then moving over to the bottom here of this week, this is a notes, quote, shopping list, weekly goals. That's kind of a random sort of bit on the page there, with just like an overall, like I'm doing life book this year. I haven't even started week 1 and people are posting week 2 stuff already, you know, so it's kind of there, it's highlighted. I've kind of made a start, but it's there, I can see it. I need to do some time management and diarise in when I'm going to do my life book stuff. So yeah, so that's how I have my daily goals. Right. Next, I was talking about more long-term goals, and I have them on a sheet like this. Again, I am making this available for free. If you want to have one of these, they're in A5 and personal size. The link will be in the description below, so that will be in the folder as well. It is a zipped up folder, so you will need to have software that you can unzip with, and in that folder will be the printing instructions as well. So don't worry if you're not sure how you'll be able to print. The instructions will be in there, but you do need to make sure that you've got the software needed to be able to unzip a file. So here I have these. I use more for kind of like monthly or quarterly goals. So, and it's just a column thing, and it's one big thing because I figured that if I want to put more than one thing on the sheet, I can just use a ruler and kind of just mark it off myself like that. I know that's not straight because I'm filming, but that's kind of the reason why it's just like one big column, because you never know how much you're going to write. So in here I put my goals. So I mentioned previously that I really want to go to Norway and see the Northern Lights. I've got a column for date set, but I haven't filled that in. I just kind of started to do this for filming. So people involved would be me and my husband. Cost is something that I need to research. We need to work out how we're going to get there, whether we're going to fly or whether we're going to go by boat, where we're going to stay, all that kind of stuff. Resources required. Now, that is more for kind of if you know that you're going to need a car, or you're going to need the computer to do it, or you know, that kind of stuff. It's more kind of, it's not about cost, it's not about people, it's about items that you will need in order to be able to fulfill your goal. Then I've got review dates, because I want to make sure that with my goals that I'm kind of checking in periodically, and keeping an eye on them and working out how I'm getting on with them, you know, making sure that they're just not floating around in space. And then this section is a notes, so like I could write notes on the research that I've done about the hotels and stuff. It's reminders, it's actions, and it's also on track stuff. So kind of when I'm reviewing my goals, I can write notes about, you know, what I've done to review them and stuff like that. And then I've got an achieved date column as well. So when that's achieved, I can tick that off. So that's how I kind of set my, you know, these are my daily and my weekly goals, and these are more of my monthly, quarterly, yearly, long-term goals. That's kind of how they're set out. So that's how I do that. And then going back to me Philo, you will have seen some of this if you've watched some of my other videos. I have a tab for health and diet and fitness. And in there I just keep some of my my sort of goals and aspirations. They're very loose goals. They're more aspirations of mine, really, rather than a set in stone kind of goal. So, you know, I'll just read them in case you can't see them. So to feel confident and healthy in my body, you know, that's what I aspire to be. Not so self-conscious. To drink more water a day. To meditate and relax more and take more baths, because that's something I enjoy. And in time management, I'll talk about diarising in things that you want to do or things that you enjoy doing, as well as things that you have to do in your chores and everything. To eat my 5 a day every day. That's a challenge some days, so that's something I aspire to do. One day, you know, at the moment, I'm just kind of recovering from Christmas, as it were, and, you know, we're still eating up the chocolates and all that kind of stuff. So at some point I'm going to get my butt and my brain in gear again, get my head in the right place to kind of crank up the dieting and the healthy eating again. And when I do that, I will then go back to using my my diet and calorie sheets. Have I taken them out? No, there we go. My diet and calorie sheets. And these will be interspersed in my weekly pages, my weekly diary. And as you can see at the bottom there, I've got a tick for how many fruit and veg portions I've eaten that day and how many glasses of water I've eaten that day. So that's when I'll start to set them in more in stone, is when I kick my butt into gear. Okie dokie, so carrying on with my aspirations: to move my body more and exercise 3 times a week, stop snacking in the evening, and to eat breakfast. So as I say, like, for me, I need to be in the right frame of mind to get on top of my diet, and at the moment I'm not in that frame of mind, but I will be, and it won't be all that long. So when I do, I will then change it over into kind of my weekly goals. So yeah, that's just kind of a bit of an overview. So I've got my, you know, my aspirational goals there, which at some point I'll change into my weekly goals, and I keep my weekly goals on my diary, as I showed you, and then my more long-term goals. And yeah, so if you want to have a copy of these diary sheets or this long-term goal plan, then just click on the link below to download your free copy. So there we are, guys. That was it. That was everything for goal setting, and I hope you enjoyed this video and it was useful to you in some part. I just hope that it made sense and I was able to articulate it in a way that you understood it, because part of me feels like I perhaps didn't say everything. But, you know, don't worry if you it didn't fulfill everything you wanted it to, if you've still got questions, because you can ask me. I'm very happy to answer any questions. And as I say, we're going to do time management next week, so we'll go over some more of the daily goals, and we're going to revisit all these goals, you know, goal setting again further down the line. So yeah, that's quite exciting and scary also. And I hope you enjoyed looking at my personal goals. I'm here for the journey with you guys. I'm doing it as well, so, you know, by doing this video it's helping me to keep on track, and there's nothing else that's helping me organise my time and set goals, because I need to schedule time in to record these videos and edit them and all of that jazz as well. So I'm doing this along with you too. So there we go. So I hope you enjoy your homework. Don't worry if you don't want to do it, or if you don't want to do it, don't have to do it. It's, you know, it's whatever. So yeah, I shall see you next time. And it's gone really dark and grey, miserable. I think the heavens are going to open up. So yeah, until next week. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.